If you were to bite off a kneecap, how would it look?
Woodward Spartans, let's go.
Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Woodward Sports, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Jeff, Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Kennedy.
How was your weekend?
It was good. How about you, Jeff?
It was good. Got to spend time with the family and the girlfriend, hang out.
I called Jeff, I believe, yesterday, and I'm like, hey, man, what's up? Like, I'm getting ready for the show. I'm doing a lot of things. He's like, hey, man, I'm about to get on a boat. I'm like, all right, well, it's great to be
I need to decompress before we start bickering tomorrow. That's what I needed.
Yeah,
True.
bickering, losing, same thing. Whatever.
Oh, my God.
Well, speaking of losing, Western Michigan lost pretty bad to Michigan 47-17. So what did you guys think about the game, and how many wins do you foresee Michigan having this season?
I thought Michigan played really well, but it came with some downside. Obviously, Ronnie Bell injury that absolutely crushes Michigan's season, and any hopes they had of actually contending in the Big Ten are all gone with Ronnie Bell out. That is their playmaker. That is their star player. You losing him absolutely sucks, especially in the fashion that they did on a punt return. They were already up 2-3.
Why? That was a pointless punt return for Ronnie, too.
No, I mean, you're dynamic playmakers. You do that in college. I didn't hate it. It's unfortunate it happened that way.
Especially the game he was having. Jesus.
Yeah, he was dominating, but I'm very concerned with how Michigan is going to move the ball downfield, especially with Cade McNamara as their starting quarterback. We'll get to the starting quarterback position a little later on in the show, but you had a combined total of 216 yards passing against Western Michigan.
Right.
You ran for over 300 yards. This is great. You look good. Standard Michigan football. We're going to run it up. That works against Western. It works against Northern Illinois. It'll work against Rutgers. Probably Nebraska. It's definitely not working against Penn State. Probably not Michigan State. Definitely not Ohio State. Definitely not Wisconsin. You need to move the ball downfield. Talk about this with the Lions all the time. You need to be able to move the ball downfield. That is the biggest concern outside of the Ronnie Bell injury that I took away from the Michigan football game. Again, very impressive. 47-17. They dominated the game. I was very impressed with how Michigan played. Having said that, that's kind of where I draw the line. Is they played well. It's Western Michigan. Western Michigan had a very good season last year. This is very good signs for Jim Harbaugh. They played well. Good. You come out, you win the games you're supposed to. I like it. Defense looked okay. I would say they were good at best. Nothing special outside of Aiden Hutchinson, who was absolutely a problem. Why? So, you look for positives. I thought Michigan played a good football game. Overall, good. I would say above average. I didn't think it was anything special. I didn't see anything special from anyone outside of Ronnie Bell and J.J. McCarthy. So, how many wins? It's way too early to tell. We're going to discuss, how the season will go a little later on as well. So I'll leave that for later. But my overall takeaways from the game is Michigan played a very good football game. They played a very good football game against an okay team, and it was nothing special. It's nothing special. Sorry.
I think that's the right thing to take away from it. We got what we expected. The better team clearly won. Me and Adam sat up here and predicted a W for Michigan by at least 2 touchdowns, and we kind of got what we expected. But the run game was having success. That was a positive, spreading the wealth with carries. In reality, that Michigan offensive line got to work Saturday. They were moving the pocket upright, created some holes for guys like Hassan Haskins and Blake Corum to take off through. But to really talk about Cade, Cade looked good in his 11 attempts he took. I mean, he has 9 for 11, over 100 yards. But also J.J. McCarthy, they both look good. I think Jim Harbaugh has a good problem on his hands. He's got two pretty good starting quarterbacks, guys that can do their job. Like Adam said, it's going to take better teams, more tests, like a Wisconsin in a couple weeks, Michigan State, Penn State. Obviously, we want to see this team against those squads and see how much of the pressure you could put kind of on the shoulders of a Cade McNamara or even a JJ McCarthy. Like, this is the it was a good first game. I mean, you can't complain. They got the job done. Obviously,
This is how they've played.
Yes.
Their whole time under Jim Harbaugh.
I was just about to say, they got the job done. They beat an inferior team, which is, this is something we're all used to, and this is why we predicted it would be a big Michigan win. But you really want to look at a couple things. Like, the positive is Cade didn't have to do a lot for them to get the win. He just had to be a game manager, be a Jared Goff, if you will, and he got it done. He played well, and I want to see them against a team with a better secondary and a better pass rush, and kind of see where this team kind of plays out.
And that's where I was going with
Yes.
it. Is this was a very good win for Michigan. That's how you want to come out the gate. You want to beat down your opponents. Great, love it. You're not going to be able to run up 300 yards against Ohio State, Penn State. You're just not. So excuse me for pausing a little bit. I took away many positives from Michigan's win. But one glaring issue with the Ronnie Bell injury now is that how are you going to move the ball downfield? Mm-hmm. Because McNamara was throwing it downfield prior to Ronnie Bell getting injured. Ronnie Bell looked good. He beat him on that deep route. I believe he had his only catch.
Yeah.
I mean, the sideline catch was unfortunate that they called offensive PI, but
still impressive, man.
I mean, how do you expect to put up 45, 50 points expectedly against an Ohio State, let's say, in a meaningful game?
In 11 pass attempts.
It's not going to work.
No.
You're not going to be able to run the ball. Now, if you control the line of scrimmage, that's great. If you run for 180, 200 yards against Ohio State or any of the really good teams in the Big Ten, okay, that works. You're not going to run for 3, though, which means you need to compensate another 150 to 200 yards through the air. I don't know how they're going to do it. I do think there's a solution, although it's maybe a bit risky. We'll get to that later. But, Jeff, Jim Harbaugh comes out, wins a huge game for this, a huge game in the season. It's early on, 1-0. Everybody, this is they're going to be ranked in the top 25 next week. Everything's going to be great. Okay, now they're playing Washington. They're playing a Pac-12 team. Can't lose the game. Can't lose that game. And with Ronnie Bell out, I'm concerned. I'm not very concerned, but this is a huge injury. He may not have been a Heisman contender, but you know what? He was your best player. He was your best player, but I will say, Corum and Hassan Haskins, I like that.
Quarterback field.
I like that 1-2 punch. You even have Edwards who's the third back, who I think will find his footing as the season goes on, but I tweeted this out over the weekend, and I really encourage everybody to just go watch Hassan Haskins' film. The guy runs downhill like Adrian Peterson. It's the funniest thing. Now, I'm not saying he's Adrian Peterson, Jeff. Don't get me wrong. But the way he, bobbles his head when he's running
similar
downhill,
run styles.
It's the funniest thing. I can't unsee it. I can't unsee Adrian Peterson when I watch Hassan Haskins run. It's the funniest thing ever.
Can we address one thing, too? People are saying in the comments, what are you expecting to do? They're not going to pass if they're up 30, which we understand that. That's why we're saying you don't take much from this because they won by 30 points. You can't really show much in a blowout game. It's going to take, like Adam said, a Washington, a couple weeks of Wisconsin. Those are the real matchups we're waiting for. Beating a Western Michigan team is losing Ronnie Bell is important, though. I think that, if anything, it's going to put a lot more pressure on Cade. It's going to put a lot more pressure on, the fact that he's staying as the starter for Michigan. And I don't know how long that's going to last. I predict most of the season, to be honest. I think Cade's a pretty solid guy, but it's going to take games where, there's no – because besides Ronnie Bell, they weren't having – they had one –
Do you think Michigan could run, honestly, for 200 yards against an above-average Big Ten team, let alone an SEC team, let's say? No. So yes, you did what you had to do to win the football game. That's great. That's really great. But you have much more important football games down the road that you need to start preparing for.
Right.
If you only want to draw back Cade 11 times, that's cool. Hey, you won the game against Western. You probably won't have to do it that much against, let's say, Rutgers. I'm sure Cade won't have to do much work there. We'll see how he does against Washington next week. We'll see.
Could be a good game.
But, again, Cade McNamara has limitations. From what we've seen, Now, could he prove us all wrong this year and come out and play very well? Absolutely. But Ronnie Bell's out. Who's your one? Who's your number one? Please, somebody give me the name. Well, how dynamic can you be on offense with Cade McNamara at quarterback who isn't going to be able to escape the pocket when put under pressure? How? It's a limited offense now with Ronnie Bell out. It just is. Yeah. You can stack the box and stop Michigan because they're not going to beat you. They're not going to be able to beat you over the top. And that would be my only concern. It's not so much they didn't do what they were supposed to do against Western. I'm very happy with how they played. They played the way they needed to beat a Western Michigan football team by 30 points. That's great.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to look ahead into the meat of their schedule? You're not running for 300 yards every game. And they're probably going to stack the box now with Ronnie Bell out for the season. So...
And I want to see how Cade responds to that, stacking the box and receivers not being able to get separation. Like that's big for any quarterback. Like you got to make tight window throws, and it'll show us what Cade is. I think right now we've seen a very small sample size. Last year, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks, whatever it was. This year, we got one game under our belt. Let's see some bigger matchups, and we'll determine more about this football team.
Okay, fair enough. Kennedy, what were your takeaways? I know you're an Ohio State girl, but Michigan, week 1. Put out a good performance. So what do you have to say?
They did. I mean, it was expected. They should beat the Broncos. So I guess good job, Michigan. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too nice about them. I don't like them. That's all I have to say.
Well, okay. Well, the last thing I do want to mention is if Michigan comes out, let's say, and they threw for 300-400 yards, nobody would sit up here. Or at least an honest person wouldn't sit up here and say, wow, that was impressive. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because we're so used to the 250 to 300 yards rushing against bad teams. You win the football games. Everybody feels good. This is Jim Harbaugh 101 and Michigan football 101 during his time at Michigan. This is how they've won against bad teams. They just run them into the ground. It's great. But that doesn't win games. That doesn't win you football games against the better teams. And that's why his record against winning football teams and AP ranked teams isn't all that great. Because you're not going to be able to enforce or impose your will at the line of scrimmage against the better teams. They've got the same, if not better, talent than you at that line position. So, no, Michigan needs to be more dynamic. We've been calling you for it for the longest time. When he brought in the Alabama offensive coordinator, or the offensive assistant, that was everything. You were going to change. You were going to see more crossing routes. You were going to see motion. Like, you got to get there. If you want to compete with Ohio State, you got to get there. Don't be like Nebraska, Michigan. Do us all a favor. Stop trying to play in the 1980s. We're just not there. Look at Nebraska. Go see how they played in the first game against Penn State. Or, not Penn State, I'm sorry. Wisconsin. Go see how these programs play. Penn State, Wisconsin was the ugliest game I ever watched in my life.
God, yeah.
Nebraska, they got smoked against Illinois. Come on. You can't play this way and expect to compete in today's football. It's just that simple. It's not to say that you can't run for 300 against Western or 300 against Rutgers, even 300 against Nebraska. Have at it. But I promise you aren't going to be able to do it against Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State. Mm-hmm. So when you get into those games, you're not going to be running it on 2nd and 11 like you could against a Rutgers or Western Michigan and set yourself up for a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. You're not going to have that luxury. And that's all we're trying to say. That's it.
That's it.
Very simple.
That's it.
Very simple, Kennedy.
Well, we're talking about you Wolverine. For you Wolverine fans, we're talking about Michigan. But next, we have to get into Michigan State for all you Sparties out there. So stick around for that. You are watching Woodward Sports.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10 and a half months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Woodward Sports on the Woodward Sports Network. Wow. Good morning, Wood.
You tongue twist yourself every morning,
That
and I
one
still,
was
to this day, I don't understand why.
I was busy during the breaks. That was on me not paying attention. But anyway, welcome. Good morning. It's Tuesday. We have a short week, everyone. I would hope everyone had a short week.
Well, everybody
but
in
not
here is
everybody.
happy, clearly. So
We are all in a good mood.
2
Maybe
days till
not
football.
Adam.
2 days till football. What's there not to be excited
This
about?
is facts.
True. This is facts. All right, so let's get into this Spartan game. All right.
Okay.
They took on Northwestern, and they won 38-21. What were your guys' outlook on that, Jeff?
I just want to say real quick, I told you so, Adam. Just real quick, just want to throw it out there. But no, but real quickly, it's impressive, obviously. For Mel Tucker to drop 40 on a pretty good Northwestern team, and someone that, me and Adam set up here and both went back and forth on who we thought would get the win. But for Kenneth Walker III, it was a big day for him. 264 yards rushing, the 7th highest total in school history, and the most ever by a MSU running back in a Spartan debut game. He went to UCF, I believe, was his previous school. Didn't get obviously as much carries as he's getting now. I think he had 24 carries. So feed the beast, because he was running them to victory. Peyton Thorne, someone that, we talked to our guy, Justin, the other day about who he thought would be the starting Michigan State quarterback. In his opinion, he said, I think Anthony Russo is going to take the spot, and so did a lot of people, just because more experienced. He's a senior transfer from Temple. Then you had a Peyton Thorne, a sophomore, who a lot of people thought, just one more year maybe. No, Peyton stepped right in there, and similar to Cade, but he threw more pass attempts, but similarly, he just managed the game. He played well, made tough third down conversions, and I just want to say, this is a big debut second season for Mel Tucker, number one, because me and Adam sit up here and say, listen, Mel Tucker needs at least one class or two just before he can start getting, some consistency, or, in the win categories. But no, he comes out, gets 40 in game one. Man, what else can you say? This is an impressive win, a Northwestern team that, many people thought might beat Michigan State in the first game, but it just says a lot about, number one, how this team's going to move. They're going to run the ball. Kenneth Walker's going to get fed. And, we'll see how they do against, week 3. They go up against Miami, Florida, and then they got, obviously, Michigan late in the season. I want to see, how Mel Tucker does in the big games. But, hey, man, to start the season off, win by, 20 points, it's impressive. And to really just only run the ball, he doesn't take much. I want to see Peyton Thorne when he's forced to pass the ball. But when he did his job and just managed the game, he played well. Peyton played well, and it's going to be an interesting season for Michigan State. I think anytime you drop 40 in a debut, when many of us think it's still a retooling period, you did a pretty dang good job. So kudos to Mel Tucker, and can't wait till Game 3 versus Miami, Florida.
It was a very good win for Michigan State. Very good. There's no other way you can describe it other than very good. They're in their second year under Mel Tucker. Zero expectations heading into the season. Ideally, they win 6 games, they get to a bowl game, and you're happy.
Right.
You come out, you beat a Northwestern that last year was in the Big Ten title game. And I didn't think Northwestern would have that much of a drop-off, but clearly they did. And they're not as good as they were last year. But Michigan State, they trounced them. They ran all over them. And what I absolutely took away the most from this game is I finally see what Mel Tucker is trying to build there. Gritty, a run-stopping team that can control the line of scrimmage. That's it. They gave up 3.1 yards a carry to Northwestern. They held them just over 100 yards on, I believe, 32, 34 carries in the 30s. You held them it was a dominant performance. I believe 38 total carries for Northwestern, and they barely got over 100 yards. I believe it was 112, 118. 3.1 yards per average on the carry. They were just so good. It was so nice to see Michigan State come out and play good football. Mm-hmm. It's never good for the state when Michigan State is just overwhelmingly better than Michigan and vice versa. You don't want that. You want both to be good. You want to walk into midway into November playing Michigan State or Michigan, depends who you support, and one is ranked 13th, the other is ranked 10th or 7th, whatever it may be. You want competition. What I saw from Mel Tucker, although I think it's a year too soon, I saw what he's trying to execute. And he's trying to control the line of scrimmage, not only offensively, but defensively. I think he's trying to build a defense that is going to put pressure on the quarterback. I believe they have four sacks against Northwestern, who isn't much of a pass-heavy team. And they still got to the quarterback. It showed how effective they were in their pass rush. I was really, really happy for Mel Tucker. That's a great way to start the season. I think if you're a Michigan State fan, the Kenneth Walker explosion, I mean, just makes it so much sweeter to transfer from Wake Forest to come to Michigan State and debut that way. Big Ten player, the offensive player of the week. What a debut. I mean, it was poetic for Michigan State. If you're a State fan, you couldn't be happier. I think if you're a Michigan and a State fan, you walk into a Tuesday after Labor Day and you're like, hey, man, good. I like it. Positive outlook. Like that was good. That was really good. And for them to be only underdogs by 3.5 points, I think kind of told you that Vegas thought it would be closer than we imagined. And then Michigan State just turned the whole game upside down. And there was no recovering for Northwestern. They had no answers.
What were your thoughts on Peyton Thorne out there, sophomore?
I like him. He didn't jump off the screen, but I really like what I saw. That is your standard Kirk Cousins. That is your standard Michigan State quarterback from past years that has led you to successful seasons. That is a guy that isn't going to do anything overwhelmingly great, but he's good.
Yep.
He had a QBR, I believe, of 82.
Yeah. Converted some tough third downs, man.
You can look at 15 of 25. His completion percentage wasn't great, but he made throws when he had to. And that has been a Michigan State quarterback for the last 10 to 15 years. It's making just enough throws throughout a course of a game that you're winning him.
Right.
It's not the guy that's going to go 28 of 32, 30 of 35, 400. And that's not your Spartan quarterback. So I like Peyton Thorne. The decision to start him, I think maybe took a few people by surprise, but I walked away from that game very confident in Mel Tucker, and that's something I probably wouldn't have said prior to the game. You don't know yet. It's too soon. He needs another 2-3 transfer cycles, or not transfer cycles, recruiting cycles. That's what he needs. But to come out and show glimpses is all you can ask of a second-year coach trying to retool a program. It's that simple. I took nothing but positives away from Michigan State. Run game, phenomenal. Run defense, phenomenal. Quarterback play, I liked it. I could see why they made the decision they made. I'm not going to object to it. Overall, good vibes walking into a Tuesday morning for both Michigan and Michigan State. I think they both crushed it.
It's going to be even better vibes the week Michigan versus Michigan State, because that just makes me so much more excited to see both these teams drop 40 in game one, man. I'm excited. I want to see the Peyton Thorne, Cade McNamara, or even, I don't want to jinx it, but possibly a J.J. McCarthy towards the end of the season. But it should be Cade and a Peyton Thorne. That's a matchup I'm looking forward to seeing, because they're good game managers, and obviously both the run game worked for both of them, and it made their jobs, took a lot of pressure off their shoulders. But I want to see what happens in that game, man. It makes me so much, like Adam said, you like when they're both good. When Michigan State's having some success, and Michigan is as well, it makes you that much more excited for the matchup. So it's going to be exciting. And is that at Michigan State when they verse, or is that at Michigan? Because that'd make it even more exciting if we find out the destination of it. I'm pretty sure it's at State, I want to say.
It is in East Lansing. But okay. Look, you want to take away something from Mel Tucker, game one.
Yeah.
He beat Northwestern on the road. Big win. Yeah. That's a big win.
It's impressive.
It's a good win. And you didn't just beat them, you got out. And you're like, oh, wow, man, that was close. Like, whew, we got away with that one. No, you beat them down. You beat them by what, 20? 17 points.
Yeah.
You beat them by 17. The defense looked good. Vulnerable at times. Is their secondary all that? It's week one. I'm not going to judge their secondary against Northwestern, but I can tell you it's probably not going to be all that great. It could be good, maybe. But, this is the second year under Mel Tucker, and I'm more than happy to say this guy might be the right dude for the job. I think he fits exactly what the Spartans are trying to build, and I'm all for it. I think it was really good. When you have Kenneth Walker play the way he had, that might be your best back since Le'Veon Bell, if you're a Spartans fan. If you're a Spartans fan and you watch that game, you're like, oh my God, I have not seen that since Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is great. How'd he fall into our lap? No, it's only one game. But still, you're analyzing the one game. That was really good. It was really good. You got to take positives when you get them. And when you beat Northwestern on the road, you're a 3.5-point underdog, and you smack them by 17. Psh, sorry, I can't do anything but sit up here and give you credit for it. And I think their win was more impressive than Michigan's win. Michigan, you expected to beat Western. They were a 16.5-point favorite.
And they were home as well.
And they were home. State was on the road. Northwestern, they were in the Big Ten Championship last year. Yes, they lost seniors. Okay, you didn't expect them to drop off that much. They were 3.5-point favorites. And you just punched them in the mouth. Like, I'm all for that. What Mel Tucker did game one, I'm all for. I think we're going to see a season where State will be inconsistent, given I just think they're a year or two away from being a good team. But I can take away positives from it. I can't complain about State's performance. Nothing but good things. Nothing but good things, Jeff.
What's important is, a famous athlete once said this quote. He said, "A good coach speeds up the rebuild." And I think Mel Tucker, in that sense, does. We predict 2 draft classes, and you come out game 1, drop 40. That says a lot about your coaching ability, and it says a lot. Number one, his ability to get the best out of his players, like a sophomore Peyton Thorne stepping up, Kenneth Walker, a junior stepping up, getting things we've never seen out of a Kenneth Walker before. Like, this is what coaching does, man. It's great coaching, and I think they got the right guy. And Mel Tucker's, man, going to be a force to reckon with after he gets some talented players, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, can I just say, I really like college football, Adam. Have you ever heard him so positive and happy, Juicy? Because I haven't.
We'll see once Michigan versus Michigan. I want to see some big games where Adam reacts. Jim Harbaugh.
It's week 1 of college football.
You gotta see some big games.
I know
there's
you're
nothing,
just, like,
there's
in a good
nothing
mood.
but to be excited about. Now, if Michigan would have dropped the ball or State would have gotten blown out, then I would sit up here and criticize them, of course. But no, they both won. What am I going to do? Sit up here and criticize them? I'm not a horrible person. You guys just don't listen to what I'm saying. So excuse me that the Lions won 5 games last year, and you somehow expect them losing their quarterback who's been there for 12 years, losing their wide receiver 1 and 2.
Don't include
They're somehow
me in
supposed to win double the amount of games. Like, just move on. Move on from this.
I don't know why you're saying
I just gave you 27 minutes
of
I
have 5 wins.
positive, energetic feels for both Michigan and Michigan State, along with my concerns for both football programs. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's really just Art. I feel like Art's the one driving that narrative with the 10 wins.
Whatever.
Maybe
Yeah.
Fish is in that wagon.
I said 6.
He's in that limo too.
Whatever.
All
Take
right.
your limo and
Well,
go crash it into a river.
Jeff, can you tell us about Northwestern Tech, please?
Yes, I can. Listen, you can start a new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everybody. You're watching The Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. All right, Jeff, so I'm going to need your help with this one because, oh my gosh, was I confused. So I'm looking at my phone, and there's a trade. So Doumbouya, gone. We received someone else. Him, immediately cut. And I'm just sitting there like, hang on. What's happening? Why? And I don't understand. So, Jeff, can you please tell me what the heck that was?
So essentially, Troy Weaver finally lands a Sekou trade, trading him to the Brooklyn Nets for 4 second-round picks. And obviously, Troy Weaver adding more picks to the arsenal in this rebuilding period for a player that, in my opinion, didn't show very much in his tenure with the Detroit Pistons. We picked him as a project player, and yes, you want to give these players a couple of years to develop, but if you're not showing us signs of anything we can hold on to, getting rid of them for 4 second-round picks, it's a pretty good deal. We got DeAndre Jordan, which I expected him to get bought out because he's a veteran and he wants.
I think it was confirmed he was already bought out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like as soon as he got here, I was like, he's leaving. Like you just know it because he wants to go to a contending team. He's not going to stay with Detroit Pistons. And you add him in that trade for just trade purposes. It's just business. So we get rid of DeAndre Jordan. We keep the 4 second-round picks. My problem is not so much getting rid of Sekou. It's essentially getting the 4 second-round picks and hoping that Troy Weaver can turn those 4 second-round picks into maybe 2 first or a first, because if we leave it as just second-round picks, I don't feel like picking 4 guys who might not make the team. That's a waste of picks. We got to do something with those second-round picks, and then I can say, yes, it was a good trade. But let me just address the Pistons fans, because a lot of people, the people specifically who say, Sekou's going to the Brooklyn Nets, we didn't give him enough time. And let me just say this, all right? If you don't think Sekou could blossom into his final form in Detroit, where we're giving him all the time in the world, and we're in a rebuild process for the past 3 years, that's bad. And now he's going to a team where he's not going to get a lot of minutes. He's got Brooklyn's the most stacked team in the NBA. I mean, he's not going to get a lot of minutes. They just signed 2 forwards, Paul Millsap and LaMarcus Aldridge. So Sekou is a depth move. They acquire Sekou. He's a young guy, young talent, someone who could play with a lot of veterans. But if you think him showing us, in his first 2 years averaging 6 points, he ain't gonna get much more in Brooklyn. There's not enough. There's not enough basketballs to go around. And listen, I'm happy for him because he gets to go to a good team and he gets to join the other Pistons and Blake Griffin and Bruce Brown. How ironic is that? But for the trade itself, listen, man, it's not a big deal because look at Sekou. He doesn't have the leverage he did in Detroit. If he makes these mistakes for a Brooklyn team who's expecting to win a championship, he's gonna get pulled. There isn't a, hey, we're the Pistons, you put him in, let him learn. Like, no, he needs to be a final product pretty much by the start of the season because Brooklyn's expecting that. So I like the trade, but I want to see him do something with those 4 second-round picks, and then I can really say, like, wow, he did something. But what are your thoughts on the trade, Adam? Sekou out of the door.
Well, it's about time. What's about time?
Jelani Tavai feels right there.
The reports from inside the Detroit Pistons facility where Sekou had a low motor, and, quote to quote, wasn't someone they felt could reach his potential. The Pistons moving on isn't premature, considering they've seen enough of Sekou over the last 2 years. What are you expecting? Giannis year 1 to 2 went from 6 to 12 points. Players that you want to talk about high ceiling players, he has a low motor. He's inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting out of Sekou whenever you put him on the court. And that is one of his biggest flaws. He had Dwayne Casey for the last season, and he didn't develop at all. I'm glad they got rid of him. He's not my problem anymore. Mm-hmm. Troy Weaver in the second round, just to start. Saben Lee, Luka Garza. Like, those are already 2 nice pieces. They're good role players. They will contribute more than Sekou ever could to the team. I love that they stacked 4 picks. I'm glad he's gone. They freed up some cap. He was a waste of a pick. Goodbye, the Stan Van Gundy or Bundy, whatever you want to call him, era. Goodbye, good riddance. The guy is never going to reach his ceiling. At best, Sekou Doumbouya is going to be maybe a good role player on an NBA team. A good role player. That's it. And I guarantee you he'll never make an all-star team. Ever. He will never make an all-star team. And we're going to sit up here and cry, we traded him away. It was too early. He doesn't have a jump shot. Can't score consistently. Not a great free throw shooter. Can't shoot the 3. Can't play defense consistently. Can't run the floor consistently. How many times do I have to say consistently? The dude isn't a good basketball player.
And he's on a stacked team.
He has flashes. I don't care that he's on Brooklyn. I could care less about him. I got what I wanted. I bought out DeAndre Jordan. I've got my 4 picks to stack in the back. I'm good. I can either move up or I can just keep trying to hit somebody a diamond in the rough in the second round. I'm good. All I know is I don't have to worry about this bum taking away minutes from players I actually think can reach their ceiling. Dwayne Casey, out of all coaches, would be the one to coach him up. Troy Weaver, out of all GMs, would be able to spot the talent and say, you know what, we can work with that. This kid's got potential. Let's see it out with him. You've got 2 very qualified people telling you, no, we're not interested. And you want to sit up here and cry that Sekou's gone? Who cares? Goodbye. Goodbye. The way I was excited to drive Tavai to the airport, I'll drive him to the airport. What do you do? Nothing. Nothing. And we're going to sit here and be upset about it? Goodbye. Sayonara. Not interested. I'm not going to wait 8 years for you to put up 5 points a game and 3 rebounds. I don't need that. Thank you. Goodbye. I'd rather play Saban Lee. Rather get more minutes for Bay, Jeremy Grant. Garza. Cade Cunningham. Now I don't have to worry about some overrated number 3 taking minutes away from my 2s and 3s. I can play a small lineup. I can get them all on the court, and everybody's happy. I don't got to sit up here and say, well, look at Sekou. He put up 12 points last night. He was 4 of 6. It was really good, and then he won't score another point for the next 5 nights. Is that what you want? No, you don't. Goodbye. Good riddance. Will never be an all-star. Was a horrible pick. I don't care what you talk about his potential and ceiling. He will never reach it. He doesn't have the mental strength, let alone the capacity in his own brain and work ethic to even reach it. So excuse me. I'm all for it. Goodbye. Good riddance. I could care less. I'm so glad they moved off of him. I am so glad.
You know what's crazy though? Like with people get so scared, like Pistons fans, about the whole Chris Middleton effect. Like this isn't a guy like going to a team where he's going to flourish. Like this, he's going to the Brooklyn Nets, the most stacked roster in the NBA. How is he going to blossom? Number one, like he was catered here in Detroit. Like we understand we have a lot of young talent. Like we're working constantly with these guys to get them developed. Brooklyn has James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, all these veterans. You think they give a dang about a guy who's not coming along in his own game? Like get with it, or they get rid of you, and that's as easy as it is. So the destination he went to is important because it kind of solves a lot of questions. Like if the guy went to like a Houston Rockets team or somewhere that he's going to get some shots, like hey man, maybe. But he's going to the Brooklyn Nets. Like he's going to be a role player, and he'll never be an all-star. I agree with Adam. I don't think so. I think that realm's out of it. He hasn't showed us anything to indicate otherwise. And just Troy Weaver making magic. He'll work those second-round picks, and we'll see in the future.
I just want to know what any of
it.
you saw out of Sekou that you were like, oh my goodness, there's something there. We shouldn't be making this move. Like if he was actually playing well,
right,
and showing glimpses, and he was like, maybe he just was borderline inconsistent, but, he was improving. Then I would sit up here and defend like, hey, whoa, what are we doing? It's too early. But he never gave you any consistency, and he never gave you that comfort of like, wow, this guy is in the gym every day, morning till night, working on his game, and I can see how bad he wants it. If the organization is questioning his motor, what do you want them to do? You want them to keep him? You want to keep a guy with a low motor, low work ethic? That's the guy you want to give time to and give minutes to?
But the French connection, him and Killian. That was like the
Killian might not even be it. He might be out soon too. You guys got to be careful with this stuff. Killian's nice. I like him a lot.
Big year for him.
But he's got to play well this year.
Yeah.
He's got to play well. He can't go out there and play like Sekou's played.
He can't average under 10 points.
But to be fair to Killian Hayes though, he showed up after the injury last year, came on late, and he showed real good glimpses. He was able to put 20-point games together. He was able to put double-digit assist games together. Like, it was nice. It was nice. I saw it. Give me a game outside of the summer league where I saw Sekou really play and show me flashes of, wow, you know what? We just got to be patient with this guy. We got to be patient. Just give me an example. Give me a game. Give me 5 minutes at least. You can't. You can't. His biggest flaw was he was beyond inconsistent, continued to make the same mistakes over and over, and the worst part was that inside of the organization and the coaching staff, they questioned his motor. And when somebody questions your work ethic and your motor, you're done.
It's a bad sign.
You're done.
Yeah.
There's no turning back. You can make mistakes. You can have a bad night. You can have a few bad nights. I can never question your work ethic. And the day it comes to that is the day you're traded. And here we are, and Sekou's gone, and I couldn't be any happier, and I have zero objections to it. I don't. I have zero objections. I am all on board. Goodbye, good riddance, good luck in Brooklyn, You may be a role player. Congratulations. You're never going to be an all-star. It's that simple. Sorry. That's it.
Said it well.
Kennedy?
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to get into our usual Monday segment, I guess you could say. So stick around for that. But before we go, Adam, will you tell us about my bookie?
Well, since they just traded Sekou, now would be a good time to, visit mybookie.com. Go look at the Detroit Pistons over-under on the win column. I believe it's still at 25.5. And if so, I recommend you take the over. But before you take any bet on MyBookie, be sure to use code Woodward. They'll match up your first deposit up to 50%. You put in $100, you'll get 50. You put in $200, you'll get 100. It's so straightforward. So straightforward, guys. Visit MyBookie. You can bet from anywhere, anytime. 0 location restrictions. We'll see you right after the break.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy Tuesday. It's already Tuesday. Yes, I know. Can we believe it, people? All right. Like I said, we got to get into our usual Monday segment, and that is Overreaction Monday, where we can overreact to anything that happened over the weekend. Adam's rubbing his hands together. He looks ready, so I'm going to start with you.
Oh, my goodness. I've been looking forward to this all weekend.
I'm scared.
All right. Overreaction number 1. Michigan and Michigan State will start the season 5-0.
Oh my
Michigan
God.
and Michigan State will start their respective seasons 5-0. You look at Michigan's schedule, it's pancake. It's easy. Nothing. You got Washington up next. Okay, maybe there's something there. And then you got Northern Illinois, Rutgers, and Nebraska. Or Wisconsin, I believe. And then Nebraska. One of the two. Regardless.
They got Miami in there. Miami, too.
Michigan State plays Miami. Not Michigan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was talking about
Michigan.
Michigan.
My bad.
Michigan's got an easy road to 5-0 outside of Wisconsin, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You look at State, outside of Miami, who just got embarrassed by Alabama over the weekend, lost by 30. Michigan State's not playing anybody that great either. Like, I like it. My Overreaction Monday's got to be both teams are going to start 5-0. Jeff?
Mine, listen, I got one big one, and this is what I took from the weekend, is Clemson isn't a playoff caliber team. And that's my overreaction because I saw a couple things when I watched Clemson versus Georgia. I saw, number one, a horrible offensive line for Clemson. An offensive line that got completely outplayed by a Georgia pass rush. And we know Georgia's got some, dogs on that defensive line, but it doesn't matter. The pass rush was so overwhelming for guys like DJ Ugalele. I mean, what did he throw? Almost 40 pass attempts, only completed like 18 of them, had an interception. And I think the big thing I took is they miss a guy like Travis Etienne. Obviously, they miss Trevor Lawrence, but I'm talking about impact, like a Travis Etienne who takes the pressure off the quarterback, off the everything. Just takes the pressure off everything. They don't have a run game at all. They don't have anybody who can run the ball. I think they gave out 7 carries and they only got like 10 yards. So that's and if your quarterback's throwing 40 pass attempts, you're struggling and you're only completing 18 of them. Like this is a team that I understand it's Georgia, but if you can't even find any success at all against a team who, with JT Daniels behind center, which, he's a pretty good quarterback, but DJ Ugalele was this sophomore that everybody thought, he had a pretty good couple games last year.
He was a Heisman front runner heading into the year.
Yes. So this is a guy I'm just very disappointed in this team. So that's my overreaction. Clemson, not a playoff caliber team.
I wouldn't say that's an overreaction. I just think that's fair.
Yeah,
honestly.
my assessment.
I don't think you're going out on a limb on that one. But to be fair to Clemson, though, they did only allow 3 points on defense.
That game was so boring.
The other 7 came on a pick 6.
Right.
It was a horrible game to watch if you like high scoring. But my second overreaction from the weekend is going to be Ohio State will not finish their regular season undefeated. Ohio State will drop a game, probably 2 actually. They had a dominant 6-minute stretch where I believe they scored 28, 30 points in that 6 minutes. Stroud looked good. for that amount of time, but that was not pretty. That was not pretty. They got the dub. They dominated, but it wasn't what you've seen from Ohio State in the last 3-5 years. So my overreaction is they will not finish the season undefeated. I still think they'll be in the Big Ten championship game playing for a college football playoff spot, but it won't be as an undefeated team. I think they'll be a one-loss college football playoff team. That's my second overreaction.
I got an overreaction for Michigan that I just want to throw out there. I think it's interesting to throw out there because we're going to talk about it later in the show. But I truthfully believe that Cade McNamara will not be the starter for Michigan, come the end of the season. I think J.J. McCarthy will find his way in there. I don't know what game. It could be, around the time they play Michigan State, later in the season when they start getting tough opponents. But I just think this offense needs some more dynamic playmakers, and J.J. McCarthy's that guy. So that's my overreaction. J.J. McCarthy will be in by the end of the season for Michigan.
Well, around 9:09, 9:10, we're going to talk about J.J. McCarthy and the whole entire Michigan quarterback situation. But my final and probably my favorite, but I'm not even sure if it's an overreaction. It's just my disgust with the other conferences in college football. It's the SEC is the best conference, and it's been the best conference, but now it's like actually disgusting how
it's stacked.
Just the difference between the SEC and then I'd have to go underneath the floor I'm sitting on where the next team is. And I couldn't even tell you what the second best conference is because the ACC looked rough.
Yeah.
They looked rough. The Big Ten, what do you got going for you? Ohio State, that's it. That's all you got. And then the Big 12, Oklahoma almost lost to Tulane. What are we doing?
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, that was bad.
Oh, my goodness. A 31.5-point favorite. You won by 3 or 7, whatever it was. I was disgusted with every conference outside of the SEC. Texas A&M won. Florida won. Georgia went on the road, I believe, and they beat Clemson. Or it was a neutral site game, whatever it may be. They beat Clemson, team that was in the national title game last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they dominated them. They didn't let them move. My goodness. And then you have, of course, who can forget? You have Alabama, who just beat the number 14 ranked Miami by, 30 points?
After losing half their starters.
My goodness. Yeah. The SEC is not even fair. Good luck, Oklahoma and Texas. I promise you, you're going to be what Purdue has been the last 20 years playing in the SEC. It ain't going to be pretty. You can get all the recruits you want. Yeah. Good luck. Money must be nice because you're not winning any conference titles. As long as Alabama, LSU, all these teams are there. Speaking of LSU, they did lose to UCLA. I thought it was a great game for Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Big win. Big win. But SEC, it's not even close. They are the most dominant conference, and it would be disrespectful to say that they're one and that there's a number 2. There's no number 2. There's no number 3. Hell, you should go down to 5 before you talk about the next team or the next conference. It is that big of a difference. It's embarrassing. That's all I have to say.
I got one more overreaction. The Lions, after watching this first week of college football, listen, this is just my overreaction, hence the name, but the Lions will not be taking a quarterback this year in the draft after watching, some of the top quarterbacks of this draft. So that's my overreaction. I don't look at a Spencer Rattler like a transcendent player. He's a great quarterback, but someone that we're going to take top 5, 10 overall as a quarterback. No. So I got listen, Detroit Lions will wait one more year before drafting a quarterback because this class doesn't look good so far. So
I don't want to tip my hand away yet on this year's college quarterback class. It's way too early. Sam Howell didn't look good. Spencer Rattler didn't look good. JT Daniels didn't look all that great against Clemson. I have concerns with this draft class, but I will say this. Your mind could change by the end of the season. I think it's way too early to be judging any of these quarterbacks. Typically what we see is actually the ones that dominate college aren't the ones that translate. And if anything, this could be the year where if you take a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd or 4th round, you may have your Russell Wilson. So I think that's something to look forward to. There's the USC quarterback. I forgot to pronounce his name. Slavis or whatever it may be.
Slavis.
There are quarterbacks with talent in this draft. I don't know if I'd be willing to take one at number 1, number 2, or number 3. I'd be willing to trade it and just stack my roster if I was the Lions, but that's for another day and another subject. That was our Overreaction Mondays. Kennedy, tell me your Overreaction Monday from the weekend.
Yeah, because you know I have one. I always do.
Oh,
mine
is it Ohio State related?
No, Notre Dame related. I was freaking out that entire game. That game had me on an absolute roller coaster. We started off hot with that touchdown, and then we dipped, and then we were back up, and then we kind of plateaued, and then there was overtime, and it was too much. And then, we won, thank God. And then Brian Kelly makes his comment about executing the team.
Oh,
and
that was the best thing ever.
Does not land, right? He's just not a funny guy, though. You have to understand, like Brian Kelly, you can't make jokes because you're not funny.
That was the greatest piece of post-game.
Adam loved it.
That was amazing.
He did. Of course he did.
Speaking of execution, my whole team should be executed because that was
That's
great.
something you would say. That's why you like it. That's something you would say.
What was wrong with that? Why are we trying to cancel the guy? That was amazing.
I'm not trying to cancel him.
I know you. I'm just saying, like in general, like Twitter
I just want to know, like,
very offended. I am offended that people are offended that much. It's so annoying. That's why I had to bring it up.
It was an overreaction by literally everyone.
I thought Brian Kelly was hilarious to even try to pull that off. Like, that was great.
That's my thing. It's like, Brian Kelly, you have to like sit back and be like, all right, who am I? Because he's not a funny dude. We've never known him to be a funny dude. So the fact that after a win that tight, he like came out and like tried to make a joke, it just like everyone was confused because we're just not used to seeing that kind of comment come from him. And Notre Dame fans, I will speak for us, we've had quite a roller coaster with that coach himself. There are times we like him. There's times we literally cannot stand him. I've definitely had my seasons where I wanted that man fired. So I was just, we didn't want the jokes. We didn't appreciate it. Jeff, what do you think about it?
I want to ask Adam this. Like, I get the execution thing. Like, this whole team should be whatever he said. Like, it was a joking matter.
Yeah,
but like,
John McKay.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Why not? You're going to ask me why. I'm going to ask you why not. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't kill anybody.
Well,
he didn't insult anybody.
It's just, you know
he
what?
He just made a comment like, hey, my team played like garbage.
They should all die.
And they should all die. What's wrong with that?
It is pretty funny.
It's just, it was said in jest. It wasn't serious. He didn't come out there
He's
and
not
say,
getting canceled.
You know what? When I get in that locker room, I'm going to get out my revolver and I'm coming after people. We're like, it wasn't serious. He was joking.
Oh, this is why I
Get
just
me
had
out
to
of
bring
here.
it up. And also, shout out Mackenzie Milton. I can't even be mad at that performance. Anyway, so I don't know who has to read, but someone tell me about Coast, por favor.
I got you. So, listen. Coast Portland are friends. Since 1919, Coast has pursued one mission: to make the working professional's job safer and life easier. Today, Coast Lights are a favorite amongst tradesmen and women, outdoor enthusiasts, do-it-yourselfers, first responders, and more. Visit coastportland.com and use code WSN20 for 20% off your purchase. They stand by their products and back them up with a lifetime warranty. Buying for your whole crew? Sign up with our Coast crew to take advantage of special discounts, early access to new products, and more. Again, that 20% off code is WSN20.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/Chopper Shop.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. So happy to have you on a beautiful and sunny Tuesday. All right. NFL season is right here. Actual season, not preseason, actual NFL football, everyone. The Lions kick off in 5 days. This Sunday, we will see them take on the 49ers. Are you guys ready?
I mean, who isn't ready for football? Football season's back. It is the greatest time of the year. Better than Christmas, better than any holiday. There's nothing like professional and college football. So, yes, I am actually very excited for the Week 1 matchup against San Francisco. What I'm most interested in seeing, actually, is how the offensive line plays against San Francisco's defensive front. They are probably one of the best defensive fronts in the league. I think it's going to be a difficult test for Penei Sewell. How often will he be left alone with Nick Bosa on the edge? I'm curious, but this is, of all the really good teams Detroit plays this year, you just call them out, all right? Green Bay twice, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. You've got some teams in there, Seattle. You've got some good teams on the schedule that, it's going to be tough. Los Angeles, the Rams. Okay, this, out of all of those difficult games, I believe this is probably
the worst quarterback.
And not just that, but your most winnable game.
Yes.
It's week 1, the first game in the Dan Campbell regime. You're going to be coming out with a lot of energy. Ford Field's going to be packed, tons of energy. If there was ever a game you're going to steal against a really good football team, it's probably going to be this one. And San Francisco still doesn't know what they're getting out of Jimmy G. Now, if Jimmy Garoppolo shows up week 1 and he executes like he has in the past, plays well, plays a solid game, that's going to be tough to bet on the Lions. But if he comes out flustered like we've seen him, inconsistent, turnover prone-ish, well, you have yourselves a shot. I think the 7.5 point spread is favored towards the Lions. I kind of like taking that number instead of taking San Francisco to cover. The closer we get, the more I feel like the Lions probably, if they do lose, it won't be more than by a touchdown. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I still think the Lions are not ready to be winning football games consistently, but this is only the first game of the season. Anything is possible, of course, in any game throughout the year, but I think this is a very winnable game for Detroit. Whether or not I'm going to change my mind in picking San Francisco to win, we'll see. I still believe San Francisco overall is the better roster. They have a stronger run game. I'm not betting on Detroit's run game over San Francisco's any day of the week. Kyle Shanahan is 10x the coordinator Anthony Lynn not only dreams of becoming, but what he ever was before. So we're dealing with a much better coaching staff, a more experienced coaching staff, and a better roster. So I'm excited. I'm excited for how Detroit will game plan, what they're going to look like. Are they just going to run the ball first, second down and try to set up a 3rd and short, and they're going to run that model the whole way through the game? We'll see. How often are they going to take chances? I have a lot of questions, and I just want to see a few of them answered. I'm not looking for this team to become world beaters year 1 under Dan Campbell. So I just want to see some positives. I want to see individual play. Jeff Okudah, the rookies, the defensive line, the offensive line. How are you going to split share, let's say, DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams? What is that split going to look like? Is it 55-45, 60-40, 65-35? We don't know yet. So there are a lot of question marks. I'm excited for the first game of the season. I'm excited for the season in general. And we'll see how it plays out.
Me personally, I want to see how this football team obviously competes and uses that same energy and determination Dan Campbell brings into the locker room, and see if that translates onto the field. Because so far, he's been coaching them boys up, and I want to see, like Adam just alluded to, his ability to put the game plan in, establish the game plan, and that comes with Anthony Lynn as well. But if you got a team like the Detroit Lions, who they're not, like Adam said, they're not going to be world beaters year 1, but you want to look at the strengths of the team and the weaknesses of the team and see how it plays out. Number 1, I want to see how this offensive line performs against a very, very tough pass rush for the 49ers. And even, game 2 and once we get to the Ravens game, this offensive line is going to be tested early in the season. So that's what you're going to be looking for. I'm looking forward to see how, our judging of the wide receiver core, who steps up of that core. You got Tyrell Williams, a couple guys, like a lot of question marks you want to see answered for this team. But the real test is really going to be chemistry and fighting through adversity against the 49ers, because if they come out and execute their game plan, the Lions are going to be in a tough spot, and they're going to have to battle through some adversity a little bit. But those are really the things I'm looking for. It's the small stuff. It's the strengths. It's looking at some of the weaknesses, but it's not coming out and scoring 30 or 40 points. Like, obviously, 9 to 10 wins is incredibly unlikely, but that's not a reason not to support your team. I mean, this is the Detroit Lions, ladies and gentlemen. You got to come out and watch them. You got to see week 1 is probably their most winnable game for the first couple games. So if you got a chance to win, it's week 1. It's against Jimmy G, someone whose psyche is very easily penetrable, and someone you can get in his head if you get to him a couple times. I think This pass rush needs to step up. I want to see the rookie D tackles, Romeo, Julian Okora, the secondary. I'm excited to see this defense. But overall, it's just competing. You want to see this team you don't want to lay an egg. You don't want to be a Northwestern against Michigan State and then lose high 30s to 15 points or 14 points, whatever the case may be. Like, you want to come out and show something. Show Lions fans something, because you got a lot of...
Even if you lose by 2-3 touchdowns, you still come out and you play tough. You play hard.
Make them earn it.
That's what I'm going to expect from Dan Campbell and the Lions year one. It's just they're going to play hard. And they're probably going to get smacked up by San Francisco, more likely than not. Unless all the stars align and they're somehow able to compete. But good luck scoring on that defense.
Don't let Jimmy
which is
look
expected to finish in the top 5. Keep in mind, 31 players on San Francisco last season, which was very bad for them. They somehow still managed to win more games than the Lions. But 31 players on the injured reserve list last season. Still managed to win more games than the Detroit Lions. And here we are, week 1. Jimmy Garoppolo, will he play well? I'm not sure. He's been so inconsistent as of late. I don't know where his confidence is. But if he comes out and plays the way I know he can play, well, okay. We're looking good. I like it. I'm happy with it. And I think they're probably going to smack up the Detroit Lions. Just because the roster talent is... One is an NFC championship contender. The other is in a rebuild. Yet you somehow have the expectations that the rebuilding team, barring all the stars aligning and going up and pulling off an upset week 1, is supposed to be a team that's looking to contend not only for their division but for the NFC championship. Are we serious?
My only request is, can we not let Jimmy Garoppolo look like Joe Montana? Can we just keep that simple?
He won't. They're going to run for over 200 yards on the team. Since when do we have a run-stopping defense? Somebody explain to me.
Now, we were last in
I don't know
rushing
what
last
happened.
year. Yeah.
What happened from last season to this year where we expect to finish top 10, top 15 in run defense?
2 rookie tackles don't
Someone help
that.
me. Someone help me. You have Lamar Jackson week 3 waiting for you with Gus Edwards. Good luck. Kyle Shanahan has the best run offense playbook in the NFL. Not even question. It's not even a question. His zone run scheme is phenomenal. And nobody has figured it out. Good luck. Well, good luck. You got Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert. Good luck. They're coming. And it's not going to be pretty. And I don't expect the defensive line to do much against it. What can you do? One team is much more talented than the other. Rah, Starbucks coffee and all that stuff isn't going to make a difference. Ford Field being packed and loud isn't going to change the fact that this team is just not as talented as a team like San Francisco, like a Baltimore, like a Green Bay, like a Los Angeles. They're just not. They can be in a few years, but right now they're just not. So I'm excited for week 1. I'm not going to flip out if they lose by 30 or if they lose by 5. Or if they win, I'm not going to flip out either way. It's a long season. I'm looking for like the smallest things, because if I try to look at this team's win-loss column, I guarantee you're not going to be happy at the end of the year. So just forget the win-loss column, and let's just focus on your individual players developing, whether it's the rookies, the year 2 or the year 3 guys. What can we get out of them from last year to this year that's going to be better? How are they going to improve? Ideally, Jeff Okudah. Is he going to be a borderline Pro Bowler? I hope so. When you spend a number 3 overall pick, ideally year 2 they're playing pretty good, and by year 3 they're a solidified Pro Bowler. Sorry, that's just the truth.
I'm curious to see this team with their 3-4 defense switching to, because I know that's not going to make tremendous strides, but like the fact that they're changing a defensive scheme, they drafted 2 defensive tackles. I want to see how that impacts their run defense. I don't think it's going to, completely change the world. It's going to take some seasons for these guys to develop, but just in year 1, I mean, they're going to play, obviously. I want to see this team and just go out there, and what a good test. It's a great, number 1, a pretty good offensive line and a good defensive line. So it's a good test for our guys in the trenches. So we'll look forward to it. If the Lions end up winning, we're going to have an even better show Monday. So it is what it is.
Regardless, you look at this team. You have 2 defensive linemen making their debuts week 1 against San Francisco. A zone run team that I promise you aren't going to stop week 1. I don't need Jimmy G to throw for 250 yards, let alone 300, to beat the Detroit Lions, let alone most teams this year. Why? Because I've got Kyle Shanahan as my head coach. He's going to put my football team in the best position possible to win. And I almost guarantee you that your run defense, will it improve from last year? Yes, I expect the defense to improve across the board. They were just so terrible last year. But you're not stopping Kyle Shanahan. Week 1, he needs this game. He needs Jimmy G to play well because he wants to get to Week 8, Week 9, Week 10 with a winning record so he can then make the decision, all right, am I moving forward with Jimmy G for the rest of the year and I'm going to sit down Trey, or is Trey Lance ready and we're going to go from like playoff contenders / division contenders to, oh, we're not messing around. We got the quarterback right. He's ready now. Get ready. We're coming. Like, that's where the Niners are. So, no, in a perfect world, the Lions come out and they play a good football game and they don't lose by much, or maybe they even get it close and they have a chance to win. I'm not sure. But I have so many question marks for the Detroit Lions that I don't have for San Francisco, and that's very difficult for me to sit up here and say that the Niners aren't going to win the game, let alone win it by a wide margin. It's tough. It's tough to make that argument. I wish I could sit up here and say that, no, the Lions have a fighting chance. I really wish I could sit up here and say that. But I just can't. I'd be lying to you. I would be lying to you.
I will say this. There's always a chance, but it's very incredibly unlikely that the Detroit Lions are going to go in there and beat. It is at home. That is the positive. It is at home. But it's just a tough team, man. And it's a tough ask for us to tell Dan Campbell to go in there and beat an incredibly more talented, younger, smarter head coach. And that's just the facts. Like, Kyle Shanahan's an incredibly intelligent guy. So it's just incredibly unlikely. For your coaching debut to outclass a guy who's noted as one of the most genius offensive minds in the NFL, it's like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? Give him time. Give him some time.
All right. Well, I can tell you how you can maybe win some tickets to this weekend's game against the 49ers. Front row tickets at that. So, thanks to Wicked Awesome Wishes and the Morning Woodward Show, we have front row tickets for the Lions 49ers game on September 12th, aka this weekend, to give away. So how you enter is going online at wickedawesomewishes.com and tell us who you are nominating for the tickets. You have until this Thursday to nominate someone to give them some great seats and to someone that deserves a great day. So make sure you head over to wickedawesomewishes.com and nominate who you think deserves these tickets. All right, we've been talking a lot of football. So that being said, Adam, can you tell us about Friday Night Clash?
All right, well, last Friday, Southfield A&T played Birmingham Groves. It was a great game. The guy came so close to hitting that kick for $10,000, and he was wearing cowboy boots. I was very impressed.
It's a legend.
It was kind of embarrassing, but it was also pretty funny. I loved it. But listen, every Friday we're broadcasting one of the best games in Metro Detroit on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This week, we're going to be watching Harper Woods Kickoff, who are 2-0, by the way, Kickoff against Orchard Lake St. Mary's, who are also 2-0. An undefeated matchup early on in the season, but still, it's a good matchup. We'll have a halftime kick to win $10,000. Be sure to be there to enter to win for your chance to kick off at halftime. We'll see you Friday, 7 p.m. game kickoff time. We'll be streaming it at 9 p.m. on, again, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll catch you guys right after the break.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, everyone. You're tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. I will get those all memorized soon, I swear. All right, so we're going to talk more football, but we're going back to U of M. We got to address this quarterback situation, guys, right? So, should they move forward with J.J. McCarthy? Or do they chill with Cade? What do you think, Jeff?
Listen, if the question is who's more talented, it's clearly J.J. McCarthy. But if you're asking me who should start for this Michigan team right now, it's Cade McNamara because he's earned it. He had a pretty good 2020. Yes, it was a COVID year, but he's done nothing to lose the job. So why are we taking the job away from him? It's a good thing. Jim Harbaugh has two good quarterbacks, and it's a good problem to have. But one thing you got to do is in these situations, you don't take a job away from somebody who's earned it, regardless if you think the other guy's more talented, because Cade has done his job so far. He's played well in the first game, dropped over 40. I mean, obviously the running game helped, but he had 2 of those touchdowns. So until Cade's game says otherwise and he loses this job, due to poor performance or maybe he's not taking this offense to where Jim Harbaugh believes it can go. Other than that, you get rid of him. And I did, maybe towards the end of the season we could say J.J. McCarthy, but right now it's no. It's Cade's job to lose. He hasn't put the offense in harm's way yet. Going back to last year, we'll wait and see some of these bigger games coming up. But so far, you don't want a Jimmy Garoppolo effect. You don't want to have a quarterback behind a Cade who's ready and ready to go in, and then you always have this Cade's psyche's always messed up. Just let the guy play, and he'll be more successful from it. Because if he's in his own head, it's only going to affect his play on the field. And yeah, until he loses it at him, you let Cade start. And although JJ may be dynamic or whatever the case may be, he's only a freshman. I mean, the guy's got years to grow, so it's Cade's job to lose.
All right. Well, it is Cade's job to lose, and I don't think he's done anything to lose it. So let me just start with that. Fair? Okay. Who should Michigan move forward with? J.J. McCarthy or Cade McNamara? They should move forward with J.J. McCarthy. He showed you exactly what he could be, and he is exactly what you've been missing at the program since Jim Harbaugh arrived. That is the dynamic quarterback who can make plays with his feet and his arm that you've been missing, that Dabo Swinney has had in a Deshaun Watson, in a Trevor Lawrence, that Alabama have had not just in an abundance of talent, but even to an extent this year with Bryce Young. Mac Jones, although not super athletic, he was such a good thrower of the football, it didn't matter. And then you look prior to him, Tua. So even Jalen Hurts to an extent. I mean, guys, you have something in J.J. McCarthy. It was a little flash, but you can see what he can do. And when you play against good teams, they're going to get to the quarterback more often. It's going to be more difficult to move the ball downfield, and you're going to need a little bit of special. And that little bit of special is what makes the difference between an 8-win season and a 10-11 win season. And that's how you beat an Ohio State. That's how you beat a Penn, Michigan State, is by having special. McNamara is nice. He's stable. He's consistent. But stable and consistent only gets you so far. It'll win you football games against the bad teams. But you're not beating Ohio State because you're consistent and you're stable. You're beating Ohio State because you're dynamic on both sides of the ball. And J.J. McCarthy gives you the best chance to be dynamic and great. We're not trying to be good. You're not trying to just be good if you're Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. That's what you've been for the longest time, is just good. When are you going to take that next step and go win a Big Ten championship? Go beat an Ohio State. Make a college football appearance. You haven't been in the college football playoff yet. What are you waiting for? It's right there in front of you. Now, I'm not saying this team this year can do all of that. No. But by year 3, if J.J. McCarthy comes back for his junior year, you're looking at national title contenders, given he turns out to be what I think he can be. And that's all just because you have the quarterback finally down. You got to move forward with J.J. McCarthy. Do I think they do it? No, I don't. I think McNamara's a starter probably for the next 6-7 games until he just plays his way out of the job, or the season is so done and over that you just want to get J.J. McCarthy reps. But I feel like J.J. McCarthy and Jim Harbaugh are tight to the hip. You're not going to make a decision on Harbaugh yet. He came for Harbaugh, whether you like him or not. He came because of Harbaugh.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Go for it.
What if, let me say this, do you think the experience also hurts McCarthy? Because he's played in he's had 6 pass attempts in his first collegiate game.
26-2 as a high school starting quarterback. He transferred his last year to
high school.
He transferred his last year to IMG, and he won the national title his senior year. playing really good teams. Basically equivalent to almost what you see in college. Just maybe not at, that level is a little different. But it's not that far off. So, no, I think he's a better quarterback now than Cade McNamara is. It's not even a debate. And then with Ronnie Bell out for the whole season, you lost any hope McNamara had of being a productive quarterback. Because McNamara can make the throws. He can. But he's going to take the sacks. And he's not going to be able to get his way out of trouble. He's not going to give you special, guys. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to win 8 games? If you're trying to win 8 games, keep Cade and enjoy the rest of the season. Fine. But if you're trying to be special and you're trying to beat Ohio State, you're trying to beat your rivals on the road, you got to go to East Lansing this year. You're going to need something special. Believe me. That's what J.J. McCarthy gives you that Cade just doesn't. And that's all this is about. Moving forward, whether it's next week or in 5 weeks, it should be J.J. McCarthy. He showed you just a little glimpse. The ball pops out of his hand. He throws a dart. Yeah. He can make the throws.
That was a good ball.
He's on the money. You saw the across-the-body throw he made, and, this is like the biggest sin as a quarterback is to throw across your body. And not only did he do it...
He threw him open.
But he threw him open.
Like that.
He took the corner out of play, which is one of the hardest things to do when you're throwing across your body. Because you're not throwing downfield. You're throwing across. You're covering more yards. It's a more difficult throw, and he made it look so easy. The guy has it. And you need it and special to beat Ohio State, to beat Wisconsin, to beat a Michigan State in East Lansing. You need special. Cade McNamara is nice. He'll win 8-9 games, maybe. J.J. McCarthy takes you over that hump. At least my belief.
You don't see like a learning curve period. Like not a learning curve in sense of because his football IQ's there, but I'm just in terms of getting, as a freshman quarterback, he's already seeing game action. Like you don't see if he plays let's just say he plays the rest of the season. Let's say Cade, doesn't play. You don't see him possibly just having like moments or a game where he just has to have like a setback or a dang. Okay, I'm still getting used to this.
But are you competing for the Big Ten title this year? I don't think anybody on this desk right now or in national or local media believes Michigan are Big Ten title contenders this year. So what does that mean? You expect them to win 7, 8, 9 games. Congratulations. If that's it, cool. Cade's the guy for it. If you're trying to get J.J. McCarthy there before the start of next year, instead of just throwing him out in the beginning of the year, and then he has to go probably 2, 3, 4 games against okay teams, and then he's got to go into the Big Ten schedule and starting in October, that's fine too. But McCarthy can give you it. And I would hate for the whole season to go by and you didn't see him play a full half, a full game. Like, you want to see it. Play him against Rutgers. See what he's got. Cade McNamara is going to get you, good, consistent. But with Ronnie Bell out, you lost special with Cade. You lost anything dynamic and special you had with Cade McNamara the moment Ronnie Bell's out for the year. Now, how can you supplement that? How can you replace it? I'll tell you how. You name J.J. McCarthy the starter. You have a dual-threat quarterback who you don't have to rely on to run the football. No. You still run your power offense with the run, but now teams have to respect the RPO. And what happens when you run an RPO? Linebackers get stiff. What happens when linebackers are stiff and they're not moving? The middle of the field opens up. And those crossing and slant routes become so much easier to make. And the offense becomes so much more dynamic. It's not even a question. You have to move forward with J.J. McCarthy for not only the sake of this year, but next year. You could grow and develop this team 2-3 years in one if you just name this kid the starting quarterback and give him a chance to play his way into a really good to potentially great quarterback in college. That's just my 2 cents. What do you think?
Although I agree with you. He's dynamic. I'm going to stay with the argument. Is listen, let Cade keep the starting job until he proves otherwise. And I just don't believe truthfully that JJ. He's got 3 more years here at this university. He's got time. Cade's a junior, so he's going to play this year. And if you don't play JJ at all, or at least towards the end, I don't have a problem with it. So keep Cade as a starter, and I could care less what happens after that.
Well, when we come back, we're going to debate who's going to have a better season. Is it going to be Michigan or is it going to be Michigan State? So stick right here with us. But before we go, Jeff, can you tell me about Papa Romano's?
Yes, I can. So, Papa Romano's, listen, they make handcraft pizzas that have been made, a Detroit favorite for over 50 years, 50 years. And house-made dough, hand-cut veggies, and fresh cheese make the difference. The same quality goes for all their pizzas, salads, subs, and pitas. Order now at paparomanos.com. Get your pizza today.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. So happy to have you here on a beautiful Tuesday. Woo! I'm so glad it's Tuesday already. So, who will have a more successful season? Will it be Michigan or will it be Michigan State? How legit is Mel Tucker in that MSU team, Jeff?
This question is all about how you define success, because what's success? More wins, more impactful wins. In my opinion, it has to do with, or just simply growing as a program. And my answer is Michigan State, because it comes down to this: more wins is Michigan. I agree, and I think they're gonna maybe, if they keep Cade as a starter, they're gonna possibly go, win 8-9 games, and that's fine. But if we're looking at Michigan State, this is somebody that, again, me and Adam have said, give them two more draft classes before they really seriously have a chance to make some noise in the Big Ten. But what they're doing now is dropping 40 against a Northwestern team. Yes, it is premature, and this is very early. But in terms of success, that's a successful. Look at their game ones. Michigan won by 30 against a Western Michigan team, and we're sitting up here going, okay, that was a good win. They beat a bad football team. But last year, or this year, Michigan State beats a Northwestern, and we're sitting up here going, man, Mel Tucker's legit, and he's making noise. So that's what, a successful season means to me. I think by the end of the season, we're all going to look at Mel Tucker, and we're going to say, man, he's done a great job in his second season. Can't wait for the third, fourth season to see what this program becomes. And if we look at a Michigan team, if they end at 8-9 wins and lose to Ohio State, it is what it is. And we're going to be sitting up here again and saying, calling for his job, or saying start J.J. McCarthy, and all this stuff. So successful. I'm not looking at it from a win standpoint. Michigan will have more wins, but from a success standpoint, in terms of the program, in terms of overall, I'll go Michigan State.
This was very difficult for me, because everything you just said I actually agree with to an extent, but Michigan will have the more successful season, and you can define success however you want. It can be through wins, it can be through program development. I think Michigan is checking all those boxes. Something State, I think their wheels are going to fall off by the end of the season. They're a year too early. The week one performance against Northwestern was phenomenal. I loved it. But I don't know if I'm getting that consistently. I don't. I really don't. I have so many questions about State, and not in a bad way. I think if they win 6 games, you're going to look at State's season and say, that was a successful year. And if they win 7-8, it's like, whoa, we overachieved.
Right.
Michigan, on the other hand, lightning in a bottle. I'm telling you, that J.J. McCarthy moment might have propelled this program years down the line that they wouldn't have reached prior to that, prior to J.J. McCarthy entering the program and the game against Western Michigan. Whether or not they win 8-9 games, even 10 games, I could care less right now, because Ronnie Bell's out for the year. I know they're not going to compete seriously on a national scale, so I expect this team to win 8-9, if they're lucky, 10 football games. And I want to see J.J. McCarthy. And I think that would be a more successful season than State's 6 or 7 wins, because I still believe State is too early on in the process. They're just not there yet. They need to be patient. I think they can get there. I liked what I saw from Peyton Thorne. I liked what I saw from the defense. I loved what I saw from Kenneth Walker. That's great. It's great. But, you have to consider, yes, what your definition of success may be, Jeff, And State is probably the easier one to say they were more successful because you're not expecting 8-9 wins out of State. But Michigan, on the other hand, the defensive line looked good. The secondary didn't look atrocious. The run game looked solid like we expected.
Right.
They took advantage of Western Michigan's secondary when they needed to. They moved the ball when they had to through the air. I think with J.J. McCarthy moving forward midway into the year, no matter what happens win-loss-wise, it'll be a bigger and more successful year for Michigan because going into next year, you're going to have to deal with J.J. McCarthy and whatever surrounding him. And you look at Jim Harbaugh, like he's already recruiting. And you're looking at next year, what he's going to be bringing in, and the year after that, and it's like, hey, you get to play with J.J. McCarthy, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks potentially in college football going into the future. If he's all that, it would be a more successful year if Michigan were able to be successful in the win-loss column, but also successful in grooming J.J. McCarthy. If he becomes something special, watch out. Watch out. All it takes is the quarterback. I always used the Dabo Swinney and Jim Harbaugh comparison. And, you know, people that want to disagree and say, you know what, but Dabo was consistent. He had 4 straight 10-win seasons. Harbaugh started off hot and he kind of like dropped off. But, you know, that's what Michigan was. You know, you look at Clemson, they're in the ACC. Strength of schedule is totally different. If I put Michigan in the ACC at that time, they'd win 10 games every year. So I like to believe that if Jim Harbaugh gets the quarterback right, you're going to see Stanford 49er days repeated where they're on the cusp of competing for a championship. Now, whether if you want to look at it in the NFL's perspective, the NFC Championship, 3 appearances, a Super Bowl appearance, and then you look at Stanford, they were pulled in the top 5, I believe, towards the end of his tenure, although he had an Andrew Luck. But still, you can get there with Harbaugh. It's, do you have the quarterback? And you want to talk about success. If they get the quarterback, there is no more barometer of success than getting your quarterback right. So for me, it would be Michigan.
And I could see it from that aspect. Like, yes, he nailed the quarterback position because you talk about Dabo Swinney and Jim Harbaugh comparisons. Look at Dabo Swinney right now with the quarterback he's not too comfortable with yet. It's just how it is. So, yes, if they get J.J. McCarthy, that is success. But I think, more importantly, seeing how a Peyton Thorne develops and seeing, obviously, the emergence of a Kenneth Walker, just finding these players, considering they got Kenneth through the transfer portal, they got some guys through the portal, and now they're coming and blossoming them into star players. That's also success for Mel Tucker. So both ways, they're going to have their own success. But personally, I just see more meaningful, bigger success coming from Mel Tucker and the Michigan State Spartans because, obviously, we expect the Wolverines to come out, win 8-9 games, and possibly not lose too bad to Ohio State. But if they come out and let's say they beat Ohio State, let's just say they do. That alone is a more impressive season because you did something we all expected you wouldn't do. So until then, they got to go out and beat a Michigan State, beat an Ohio State. We'll find out later in the season really whose answer is correct and who had a more successful season, whatever the case may be. But from my point of view, in my opinion, I got Michigan State having a more successful season, and that's just me. I think Mel Tucker will, in his eyes, will look at the season.
You have to also take into account with Michigan State is they're home to Michigan, right? If they lose that game, it saves Jim Harbaugh's job, and it's a pretty successful year if he's able to beat Michigan State in East Lansing. Vice versa. Mel Tucker wins that game in East Lansing. How can I sit up here that following Monday and say Jim Harbaugh should be the head coach of Michigan? Like, the win-loss column is great for Michigan, but Harbaugh's only going to stick around if he beats State, he grooms and blossoms J.J. McCarthy, and the team finishes with 8 to 9 wins, and they walk into next season like, hey, watch out, we're coming. Like, that's Michigan right now. State, they could win 4 games. And I could still make an argument at the end of the year to like, you know what? It's cool, man. He's already got a win on Harbaugh. He came close to beating Ohio State. He already beat Northwestern away, beat Wisconsin away. Like, I can make the argument still to believe in Mel Tucker because he's only in year 2. We're talking year 7 right now for Harbaugh. The wins are great, but he's got to blossom J.J. McCarthy, and he has to. It's unexcusable. Has to beat Michigan State in East Lansing or his job has to be called for. It's that simple. It's that simple. So when you want to define success, there's many ways to define it. I still believe Michigan are more likely than State to have a successful year. Kennedy, between the two teams, I know you're an Ohio State girl, so you're probably not as biased as Jeff or I. Correct. What team do you think will not only have a more successful year, but why? Well, like, is it a standard is it a difference in expectation? Is it kind of walk me through what team and why?
Well, I don't know if they'll necessarily end up having the most success, but Michigan has that. Harbaugh specifically has that pressure on him. Mel Tucker's fairly new. He's still got time. People are going to be patient with him. But Harbaugh, he's on his last leg here. So the pressure is on for him. He has to perform. They need to see success this weekend, or this season weekend. Hopefully this weekend too, I guess. But they need to see the success. So I'm going to go with Michigan for his sake. They need success.
Fish, I'm going to ask you this. Similar to what I asked Kennedy, is between the two programs, Fish, who is more likely to have a successful year, and is that fair to even judge, given that one team is clearly in a rebuild, the other is kind of like not in a rebuild, but they're good enough to win 7, 8, 9 football games, and we just saw they might have a star quarterback at their program, which probably takes them over the edge?
Michigan, it's fair to judge. Michigan should have a better year than Michigan State. Although Michigan State did look good on Friday. I mean, Michigan did what they had to do, win by 30, even though the spread was 17. They have a tough game against Washington this week, which a lot of people are not looking at. They're looking straight to Michigan State or Ohio State. They got to beat Washington first. I know it's at home, but Washington is ranked, even though they did lose last week. And Michigan State's got Youngstown State. They'll beat them by 60. But if Michigan State only wins to Youngstown State by 10 or 11 or 12, you're going to look at Michigan State and say, maybe they're not that good.
Right.
I mean, you can't beat a bad team by 10. You got to beat them by 20 or 30.
So, Fish, with your prediction, you're going off of, and obviously you're not wrong by this, and this is what multiple people are going off of, is the win total for Michigan. You just feel like they'll have more success based off who they're beating and teams like that. I could see that. You really have two good arguments for either team, because it depends how you look at success and depends how you define it. But regardless, it's going to be interesting to see these teams square off, nonetheless.
I think everybody hit on it. If you look at the win-loss column, it'll probably be Michigan. But if Mel Tucker just wins another Big Ten game away, and he finishes with 5, 6, 7 wins,
beat some good programs.
7 being a lot, but let's say 5, 6, and they get into a bowl game with 6. That is not just a successful year. That is an overachievement, given where the program was. And I think he's doing a very good job. He deserves credit so far. And you just move forward with it. I think Michigan's in a different spot. I think they have more talent than Michigan State, although I don't think it's by a wide margin, but it is enough. And we'll see. Again, the Ronnie Bell injury really changes the entire year for Michigan, and I'm going to be polling for J.J. McCarthy to get the job eventually. Kennedy?
All right, well, when we come back, the Lions have announced who their captains are for this season. We're going to go over that next. But before we go, Jeff, where do you get that awesome haircut?
All right, listen, let me tell you. Let me give a shout-out to our friends at Lady Jane's, because, guys, let's be honest, we are a simple bunch. We like Sunday football in the field of TV remote in the palm of our hand. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's haircuts for men. Walk in, sit down, and before you know it, your hair is game ready for the Lions this week, Sunday. It's Lady Jane's, open at 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, because it's wicked awesome.
Opa! Introducing Papa Romano's new Greek pizza, a tasty blend of bold Greek flavors and Mediterranean toppings, including feta cheese and Greek dressing. Get a large Greek pizza for a limited time for $16.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Morning, Art. Morning, D-Mac.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. So happy to have you here. So, the Lions have announced their team captains, and they are, not shocking, Jared Goff, obviously, Frank Ragnow, good pick, in my humble opinion, Alex Anzalone.
That's better than I could have done.
With pronouncing his last name? It's insane
I'm
looking.
horrible at pronouncing names.
No, me too.
So
Trey
next time,
Flowers.
so repeat his name again.
Alex Anzalone.
All right. So how you handle this situation in the future, Alex A. There you go. Just make it easy.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to botch somebody's name because I was that kid in elementary school who my name got botched every single day. And it was like the most annoying thing. And I knew it was just as annoying for the teacher because he or she probably felt just as annoyed.
Yeah.
So
it feels bad.
I stick
you
to
don't want
the
to botch someone's name.
Yeah, I
You
stick
don't
to
wanna have your name
the
botched.
first letter of the last name.
All right. Well,
that
Alex
is Jeff
A is
I.
a captain. Trey Flowers is a captain. And Jalen Reeves-Maybin is a captain. So, what do you guys think about that?
Jeff, I don't know if you kind of took away anything special or something that surprised you. But the quarterbacks are typically always a captain.
Right.
So, like, that didn't surprise me, although, like, you know, he was traded here. I'm sure Jared Goff is a good locker room dude. I'm sure he doesn't cause any problems. You know, whether or not he's a leader remains to be seen. I don't have like too many reservations on this. I thought that's fine. That's great. Jeff Okudah was not named a captain, correct?
No.
So that was the only one that stood out to me that I had a problem with. Because I will say, as much as I dog on Jeff Okudah for his poor play last year, and really not really just him as a person, but yo, you're the number 3 overall pick. I don't care if you were taken at 3. You got to play like a number 3 overall pick. You got to live to that standard. Sorry, that's the expectation. All right, all that aside, Jeff Okudah, Ohio State grad, straight A student, high character intangibles, very good person. The definition of what a leader would be on the defensive side of the ball, I don't know why. Again, this is your team captains. I'm not
players too.
I'm not gonna overreact and look into it too much. Maybe next year he's the captain and I'll forget I ever said this. But that just, you know, why not? You expect the year 2 guy to come out and have a breakout year. He's clearly vocal. He's clearly the leader of that secondary. Yet not a team captain. It didn't add up to me. And again, I'm not gonna overanalyze team captains going into the first game of the year. Like, it's cool. It's fine. Like, whatever. Whoever they voted as captains, good for them. But I was just puzzled a little bit by the Jeff Okudah. Not I don't want to say snub, but I would have expected Jeff Okudah to be named a team captain given his character intangibles as well as his ability on the field.
I can agree with you on that. I can see how people understand. Like he was taken 3rd overall. So you kind of look at him as a Jalen Ramsey come in and be more of a leader in this group. But I'm surprised. You know, you got Alex Anzalone and Jalen Reeves-Maybin, which, you know, obviously this is voted by the players, so I'm not going to sit here and say they should be captain or anything. But I'm just surprised Jamie Collins wasn't considered more from this linebacker group because he's the veteran. He's 31 years old. He's a returning player, and he's been through all the BS. And that's someone who's won multiple rings and has rings to show for it. So it's like that's what I'm surprised about. Alex Anzalone comes here and immediately becomes captain. So hats off because that shows, number one, a lot about his character and how the players feel about him. But not surprised by Jared Goff. And obviously, to go back on the Okudah point, I would like Okudah to be more considered among the leaders of this team because he's the top dog cornerback. You got Amani Oruwariye, but he pretty much keeps to himself. But Jeff Okudah, he might keep to himself, but it does feel like a part of me wants him to become.
Well, it's not
that.
even that I want him necessarily. I feel like he checks the boxes. As
Right,
much as
that's
I
why-
dog his game, he's vocal.
That's why I want him.
He's a risk taker. He's willing to, hold himself accountable. Cool, I like that. Works hard, high character intangibles. Like, that is what a captain is. So, maybe they're holding him out for one more year and he gets it next year if he earns it. Cool, okay, I'm not opposed to that. Out of all the captains that were named, that was the one name I thought, I don't want to say it was a shoo-in, but like I was expecting to see him on the list. But no, I didn't have any problems with any of the captains that were named. To be honest, this is a team that's in a rebuild. So the captains that are the captains this year might not be the captains next year, and they might not even be on the roster. So, we'll wait and see what happens. And Jared Goff, ideally he kind of develops his character a little bit, his social skills here. He wasn't really a social butterfly in the locker room in Los Angeles. He'll kind of need to be that here. I'm not saying he needs to be, let's say, like a Lamar Jackson and how vocal he is, but, how you earn the respect of your teammates isn't just on the field. It's how you carry yourself in the locker room, in press conferences, and, dinners out with the teammates. Like, how are you the guy just sitting on the side and, like, hands tucked and not talking and laughing as people talk? Or are you the guy, like, trying to make people comfortable, talking to the guy on the table who hasn't said anything yet? Like, that's what you're looking for in your captain. So I'm not opposed to it.
There's that, but then there's, like, a Jamal Williams.
He's not a captain.
Right, but I'm saying there's a line there.
Yeah, there's a line between funny goofball / good player, and then like good player / high character intangibles, high character qualities. Just a guy that has a high motor, lead by example. That's your captain.
Yeah.
That's not the Jamal Williams biting a kneecap, making faces. That's not a captain. Does he lead by example? I'm sure he does. He's a very good football player, but when you're naming team captains, I would have liked to have seen Jeff Okudah on the list, but I'm not going to make a big deal about it.
That's the big box you have to check, is the leading by example. Like Jared Goff, I think he definitely does lead by example, and even you can even reference back to Matthew Stafford. Wasn't the most vocal guy, but led by example and loved by everybody. So to be a captain, you just got to be able to number one. This is voted by the players. So if you got the respect of your teammates and you're leading the way and you're leading by example and you're whatever you're doing in training camp or practice, it's working. So kudos to Jared Goff. Obviously, he was going to win this. If he didn't win team captain, that would have been I would have loved to have this show the day he didn't win team cap, because we would have had fun with it. But it is what it is. We'll see next year's captains. It could even be I don't want him to draft a quarterback, but hey, you very much could have another team cap next year. In the next 2 years.
You kind of, in the position the Detroit Lions are in, regardless how you feel about Jared Goff, whether you think he's the bee's knees or whether you think he's just a good quarterback that can win you football games, you still need to draft a quarterback. Tim Boyle and help me out here, Jeff.
What? Well,
Tim Boyle and David Blau,
yeah, quarterbacks
are not your future answer given if Jared Goff ever gets hurt.
No.
So you're already in a position where you have to draft a quarterback in the next 2 seasons. Why? Well, you have 2 first-round picks in the next 2. Let me remind you, Jared Goff's contract does end in 2 years. It is a hefty contract to pay. You probably don't want to re-up him if he's just a good quarterback. You don't pay good quarterbacks $35-40 million a year unless they're game changers. Jared Goff, not a game changer. So you have to draft, whether in this year's draft you want to stay away and you want to trade up or trade back, and then you want to take a quarterback in the 2nd, 3rd round, okay. And if that doesn't work out or you don't see anything, then you take you take a high quarterback in the next year, which would be what, 2023? Okay, I like that, cool. But you got to address the quarterback position eventually. You're not putting all your eggs in Jared Goff's basket. You just aren't. If Sean McVay and the Rams front office were willing to give you 2 first-round picks for your quarterback and to get rid of theirs, I hope Jared Goff does very well here. I hope he does well enough to where he goes somewhere else and he becomes a starting quarterback on a fringe team, or maybe he's a career backup quarterback. That's fine. But he's not a playmaking superstar quarterback. He's not a Josh Allen, not a Lamar Jackson, not a Patrick Mahomes, not a Justin Herbert. Should I continue? He's not a Kyler Murray. Should I continue? He's not even Matthew Stafford, who you got half of the city doesn't even like him. He's not even Matthew Stafford. So, what are you going to do? You going to stick with him? No, you're probably not going to. It just doesn't make sense. You can position yourself to work on a rookie contract for the next 4 to 5 years and load up through free agency and trades with high quality talent. And then you can make your runs. That's how it's done. Go look at the Steelers. Go look at the Ravens. Go look at the Seahawks, the Niners. It's in front of you. It's not a knock on Jared Goff. It's just the reality you're in. And then you have two running backs right now that are nice. I do like them. I like the O-line. Love TJ Hawkinson. But where are we going here? What's up, Kennedy?
Some exciting Lions news here. Shout out Dave Burkett and his Twitter account. All right, alert. Lions coach Dan Campbell said this morning that running back DeAndre Swift and Michael Brockers will be ready to go come week 1. So here we go.
It's good news.
10 or 7.
It's good news for my fantasy team. So
good.
We'll take it. Playing week 1. He might be on. I don't know about limited snaps, but they'll watch his workload. I mean, he just got off of a groin injury. He's had other soft tissue injuries. You don't want to push him and have him suffer something else. But hey, if you need him, you need him game 1. If that's a game which the games after that are only going to get more difficult. So game 1 against the 49ers. You throw them in there, and you got Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. We'll see what they can do. Running behind this offensive line that we all predict can be top 10. So it's great news. Adam, what are your thoughts on that? Swift coming back. He'll be ready for game 1.
You need Swift. He's the 1A back. I like Jamal Williams a lot. He wasn't brought here to be the 1A. I don't care what they're saying out of camp. You need DeAndre Swift to develop into a 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard running back. That's just the consistency you need. Now, do you need a 14, 15, 1,700-yard back? No, you don't. Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones were the running backs for the Super Bowl winning Tampa Bay Bucks. The year prior, Kansas City Chiefs. Who were their running backs? Exactly. Go to the year prior, like even Tom Brady's Super Bowls. LeGarrette Blount, Sony Michel. I mean, there's no superstar. You don't need a superstar back. I always say this. You need to run. You need to be able to run the ball situationally. If you can run the ball when you want to, that is more than enough. I don't need Dalvin Cook. I don't need Christian McCaffrey. I don't need Ezekiel Elliott. I don't need Derrick Henry. I don't need any of these guys. Given the last 20 years of running backs don't win me Super Bowls. Running situationally does. If I can run effectively, yeah. Does it help that I have a star back? Of course. Makes it much more convenient and easier on me. But it's not a guarantee. So DeAndre Swift, ideally, is a very good back. Top 8 in the league by the end of the year. Top 10, hopefully. And then you kind of move forward with that and you run situationally. I don't want him getting 320, 350 carries a year. That's not what I want from DeAndre Swift. I want 220 to 250. I want about 30, 40, 50 catches if possible. And that's dynamic enough for me. I don't need more than that. And I don't want more than that. So I'm happy with it. Brockers, glad he's going to be able to play. Great. Mm-hmm. That'll be a good addition to the line. They need it. They need it. And they're going to need all the help they can get against San Francisco. So, good news coming out of Detroit.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to have the best segment of the show. Let's not lie to ourselves. Fish's Facts are coming up next. But first, Adam, will you tell us about our friends over at Levels?
Levels. Come experience the next level in cannabis on Sherwood between 9 and 10 Mile. Download their app today and start collecting points so you can level up. Search Enjoy Levels in the Apple or Google Play stores. It is available, of course, on iOS and Android. Make sure when you do stop by Levels today, you mention Woodward Sports. We'll see you right after the break.
Would you like to win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time?
Then watch as we turn this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
Watch the Call Sam Chopper Shop on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Is it time?
Yeah, it is. Fish!
Go fish.
Fish Facts.
It's fish!
Alrighty. Today is Tuesday. Hope everyone had a good weekend. We had a lot of football this weekend. We had football Saturday night. We had football yesterday. Labor Day Classic football. There were one okay game. Second game was really good. Any of you watch the late? No? Okay, cool. Good talk.
No, we did not.
We go out to... You guys are losers, by the way.
I'm
you should have watched some Labor Day football.
Fish, I'm kidding with you. But you know what, Fish, you know what's more important, though? You didn't mention it's a short week.
It is a short week.
You did say it was Tuesday, but you know what? Short week, Fish. 4 days.
It is a show. We've got NFL on Sunday. We got a triple header of CFL on Saturday, by the way. Very excited about that. Anyways, we go out to another version of football. which this was a great game. Art's favorite sport, by the way. We had a game on Saturday in Australia, and this was between the Bulldogs and the Lions. I was actually hoping the Lions would win because they're the Lions. Speaking of Lions, they're going to go 10-7. Detroit Lions are going to go 10-7. But this team, the Lions, they're in purple or whatever color that. That was a goal with about a minute and a half to go in the game. They ended up winning it 79-78.
Explain to me the
ice in the veins.
Explain to me how it looks like there's 3 field goals or like 2. Why? If I hit it in the middle one, what's the difference between the left or the right?
The middle is 6. The left and right are 1.
Look at Art shaking his head over there. He's teaching him. I gotta learn this stuff. Art.
There's a game Friday, and speaking of Friday, we're gonna have a not really watch party, but mini watch party on Friday for the game, the semifinal on Friday.
Oh wow! So it's getting intense, is what you're saying, Fish?
It is getting intense. Okay. That's why I love it, and they had a full crowd, by the way. First time in 2 months, I believe, that they had a full crowd. You guys don't care.
Was this crowd throwing stuff?
I don't know. Probably.
I remember the last video you showed. Some dude threw a water bottle or whatever that was.
Yes, that was in France. That was in Adam's happy place. Right. Speaking of France, Notre Dame, we have a fact on them soon. But we start with baseball, where if any of you guys are watching the Cubs-Pirates game, it's the first game in MLB history featuring 3 go-ahead grand slams. It was also the 5th time all 3 with 3 total grand slams, pending the inclusion of the Negro League stats.
That's some historic stuff right there, man. That would have been a game to watch. Where was I? Cubs and Pirates playing 3 grand slams.
You were probably on a boat or
possibly on a
sleeping.
Boat. Was it Labor Day? Was it yesterday?
I think it was over the weekend.
Okay, so you know what? I don't know what I was doing.
Tennis, U.S. Open, which, again, another sport that you guys should watch. Adam might watch, actually. Novak Djokovic has already won 7 matches after dropping the opening set at a major this season. An 8th win in that situation will be the most in a calendar year since the Open era began in 1968, which he did get that. As I predicted, he ended up winning in 4 yesterday. Adam, did you watch Djokovic? Were you nervous after he lost the first set?
Fish, I'm never nervous when the best players go down. And this year in majors, he is now 8-0 when he loses the first set. So there's my fact for you, Fish.
That's the set I just told you. Thank you, Adam, for listening.
So he's not losing anytime soon, buddy.
We really appreciate you listening, Adam. Speaking of listening, we go to Notre Dame, where Jack Cohn threw for 366 yards, the most in a season opener in Notre Dame history. Kennedy was probably pretty happy. The previous was Tommy Reese, 346 yards in 2013.
Jack Cohn threw almost 400 and took an L, but you know what? They pulled it off at in the overtime, and it worked out.
It was a lot closer than I thought. I thought they were going to kill him by 20, but they didn't. They won in overtime, but they still won. Notre Dame, possibly national champions.
Okay, let's slow the roll, Fish.
Maybe, possibly,
slow the roll, Fish.
Potentially. I mean, they're going to have to play Alabama.
Of course.
We all know how good Alabama is.
How do you think Jack Cohn is going to hold up against the Alabama secondary, or any secondary for that matter besides?
He'll light him up.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've been reading enough bull crap in the comments, so I gotta address this just so everybody is very clear. The Rams Super Bowl roster had Todd Gurley, who ran for 1,250 yards and 17 touchdowns. Let's keep in mind he also caught 580 yards and 4 touchdowns, so he's over 20 touchdowns that year. You had Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, and the best offensive line in the
Donald
NFL.
Too.
Oh wait. God forbid we go to the defensive side of the ball. Shut up, Kennedy.
Fish is fact.
Shut up, Kennedy. Michael Brockers, Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, who had 20.5 sacks that year, won Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters. Shut up, all of you.
Stacked team, man.
Unbelievable. Jared Goff took him to the Super Bowl.
He did.
He did. Under a rock.
And guess what Jared Goff's going to do this year? Take him to another Super Bowl.
Fish. I know,
back
buddy.
at his hometown in Los Angeles.
I know, buddy.
Fish, do we have B-days?
We have birthdays today. By the way, today...
Nobody deserves a birthday today, Fish.
What if it was Jared Goff's?
It's the... I wish it was his birthday. It's the 7th of September. So we're already 7 days into September.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. It tripped me out. I was like, dang, September's flying by, man. I mean, we're already almost in the middle of September.
Soon enough, it'll be Christmas time. And then Boxing Day, which is another great holiday. Which, by the way, I disagree with you. Holidays are better than football. Boxing is better. Anyways, you guys don't care. We have birthdays today. Kevin Love. It is his birthday today.
He's a bum.
I figured
he's going to get traded, most likely.
He's a bum.
He was good on that Cavs team that won in 2016.
Half is 14 to 15, so shut your ass up, Art. No, sorry. Go on.
Cool. Donovan Mitchell. It is
Sorry,
also his
Fish.
birthday as well. So happy birthday, Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Love. Adam probably thinks they're all bad, but you can't win them all, Adam.
Kevin Love's getting traded.
What you can win is Lions 10-7. That's what you can win. Those
Fish,
are
I
facts.
swear to God.
No.
Every morning you say that, Fish, it takes every ounce in me not to get up and just punch you through that glass window. I swear to God.
Fish,
Well,
lock
you got
the
to
door.
get through the glass first. Well,
Lock the door behind you, Fish.
There's no lock on it.
Okay, you're done.
I can confirm the door.
There's no lock for a reason. So when you say really stupid things like that, things happen, Fish.
I love that Adam can't cuss anymore. It's awesome.
I know, it's frustrating.
He's like really
like
stupid.
a piece of me is like gone.
Well, I will help you later.
10-7, unbelievable.
Well, you watch.
Imagine being the worst defense in NFL history last year and then somehow rebounding and winning 10
Here.
games because your coach drinks 2 cups of large coffee with 2 shots in it every morning.
Fish,
Wow.
Fish, thank
It's
you.
called a new coach, new GM,
Yep.
new everything.
Yep, I know. Oh, and you got the Super Bowl quarterback in Jared
Yes,
Goff.
we do.
Yeah, let's not forget about him.
Oh, God.
You
All right,
guys
listen.
are unbelievable.
Fish,
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Fish, for the
Unbelievable.
facts. But, can we get to this Kobe question? Because I want to hear Fish's response to this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanna hear.
Do you want me to read the scenario out?
Go for it.
All right, here's the scenario. You're playing prime Kobe, 1v1. He has to score 11 points, and you only have to score 1. If he wins, you never get to hear music again. If you get a bucket, though, you not only have the story, but you win $1 million. Are you lacing up? Are you facing Kobe?
Get the camera on me. Get the camera on me right now. Look at my face. Look how serious I am right now. I'm jacking up 10 shots. I'm jacking up. One of them's going in. One of them is going in. I got But listen, prime Kobe Bryant. This guy's gonna lock me up. I swear to God, he's gonna bully me. But you know what? As soon as I get the ball, he'll check it. He'll say, "All right, Jeff, here, check the ball." As soon as he hands me the ball, I'm shooting it. Like, don't even give him a second to react. Hopefully, I can get one to go down. Get $1 million. Can say I beat Kobe.
What's
gets to retire as a Hall of Famer.
Can you read me the scenario again? I don't even know what's going on.
Okay. You either
gotta listen, Adam. I swear to God.
So Kobe has to get 11 points. Winners points. 11 points. You have to get 1.
What's the winner's point? Like he has to score 11 points
times.
11 times?
I would assume because then that doesn't add up to 11.
No, let's just say first to 11. He has to score to 11. Okay. So
and
11
you only have
shot.
to score 1.
You just got to score 1.
I'm prime Kobe.
And what happens if I lose?
You never get to listen to music again or hear music
winners
again.
is
So if it's in
basically
a
you don't
movie
get the
or
ball
anything,
back.
You can't watch.
You get 10
no
tries.
more
though.
music.
Winners is you don't get the ball back.
Blocking
Oh, you get
guys.
one shot,
you
right?
Dumb?
You get one shot, or you get how many shots?
No, you
It doesn't matter. You're
So
playing
based on
1v1.
the rules,
multiple.
based on the rules.
But every time Kobe scores, he gets the ball back. So you basically have to block him.
Based on the rules you guys gave me, there is nothing in the rules that says I can't bring a 9mm and take out both of his kneecaps, and I can't drive in and get a layup.
Did you say
So
kneecaps?
I'm taking the bet,
kneecaps.
and I'm gonna resort to street ethics to get my way. And that's how I'm gonna win my $1 million.
I'm gonna start grabbing the forearm.
He can't guard me if he can't walk.
True.
So
This is true.
I'm just saying.
I'm not doing it.
I think it has to be a basketball-related
risk.
object. I don't think you can bring a gun into a court.
Fish, would you get a bucket on Kobe for $1 million?
Is it half court or full court?
Oh, it's half.
Full?
It's half. We'll
It's
go half.
1v1.
Okay, that doesn't half or
Fish,
full.
you never
Half.
get to listen to music again if you lose. Are
don't-
you risking that?
You ain't running up full court when you're 1v1. Do half court.
Half court, okay.
You don't have to run. You're just
Why
kind of
does it
scoring on
matter?
each other.
Because full court, he's gonna full court press you because it's 1v1. If it's half court, it's a lot
Oh,
easier
yeah, I'm gonna get bodied.
because you're already like 45 feet away from the three.
Basically, Fish, he's going to check the
can't
ball.
throw it
He's going
90
to check the ball
feet.
to you at the three-point line and then say, all right, start. So as soon as he checks me that ball,
As soon as he checks the ball, I'm shooting him.
you're shooting him?
Yeah.
I'm shooting the ball. Okay,
I'm shooting him, then the ball.
Okay, I respect
I can
that.
go in for an easy layup. You guys don't follow the rules. Listen, there's nowhere in the rule book that said I can't do that. So I'm taking my $1 million.
They don't expect
And
a
I'm walking
man
away.
Beat him.
Well, there you go.
All
You can't guard me.
Oh, no, we're talking prime.
Okay, you know what? We're getting
though.
sad.
In his prime, alive. R.I.P. Kobe. I'm sorry, but prime Kobe.
You can obviously know I'm not going to take the shot because he's going to kill me.
Right.
He's way better. I don't even have a
I wanna
chance.
see Adam.
I don't even have a chance of getting the ball up. And whoever thinks they have a chance of getting a shot up on Kobe, if he actually wanted to guard you, you're delusional.
Right.
You're delusional.
Give me a shot.
Jeff.
Give me a
Jeff, you don't
shot.
have a chance. I'm telling you.
I know.
I know I don't have a chance.
I play, like,
I don't.
Right, like guys at my college or whatever, they had like hoops in the back of the frat houses, and they would all just block me all day. These little white dudes. There's no way, because I'm 5 foot, there's no way Kobe is not just putting the ball back in my face and scoring immediately. There's no way for me. I'm too small, and I'm too unskilled.
Listen, none of you, including myself, are skilled enough to be any professional NBA basketball player in one-on-one, so let's just move on from the topic. Kennedy, get us out of here.
All right. Well, you guys have been tuning in to the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Remember, you can nominate someone to win front row tickets to the Lions 49ers game this weekend if you go to wickedawesomewishes.org and nominate them. Tell us why they deserve, whoever it is, they deserve these tickets. Make sure you go to wickedawesomewishes.org. All right, we will see you right back here tomorrow.